Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I am Doc Rotten and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are looking at Books of Blood, which is heading your way October 7th to HULU. This is part of Huluween. Huluween. Oh my. All right. So what we'll do here is we'll get in here. We'll give our first impressions. We'll talk about the film a little bit, and then we'll give our final thoughts on our score at the end of the show. So you want to stick around for that. But first, let's introduce who everybody is. Starting off with my buddy, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how are you doing? Red inside.
I'm great, and I'm red inside. Aren't we all? I hope.
Yeah, I guess so. A little bit.
Hopefully.
All right. Also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl.
What's up? I just painted my walls. Do you like them?
You sure did.
So nice.
It feels so comfy there.
I like it.
Comfy, like comfy.
I'm not sleeping, Mommy.
All right. Rounding out the crew is my buddy from H&R, Dave Dreher. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. We've got to make this quick because I need to go tend my garden.
You have every time Motel Hell.
Yep. This means something far different than when you whispered this to me last night.
Well,
I don't know what I meant. All right. What are we talking about? What's this Books of Blood crap? All right. Books of Blood is a Hulu film coming October 7th, 2020. It's directed by Brannon Braga. It's written by Brannon Braga and Adam Simon, based on the book or the works of Clive Barker. Yes, you've heard of Books of Blood. All stories end here. Isn't that a great thing? Stars yes. Britt, Robertson, Anna Friel. That was a surprise. Rafi, Gavron, among others. It's a journey into the uncharted and forbidden territory through three tales. Tangled, I say, in space and time. And tangled is a good word here because that's one of the sweet surprises of the show. This does very much feel like it should have been a series, and in fact, it was intended to be one, but it makes a great movie as well. I'm bearing the lead, but what we're going to pass this off to the rest. We're going to give our first impressions of Books of Blood, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr.
This is a very good movie, in my opinion. I live for that, Doc. I do that again. Anyway, the thing that's neat about this is it's got a really interesting timeline. It's an anthology, but it's not like any other anthology I've seen. There's, I guess, what I'm going to call a wraparound story with the two guys in the car. But it's really more. But it's really more of an intertwining story.
Yeah, kind of like the way Trick or Treat is.
Other two stories. Yeah.
That's a good parallel. Yeah.
Well, but it's also not. It's also not linear time wise. So the wraparound intersects with what I'm going to call Jenna's story. I think 3 times, and with Mary and Simon's story once. So one of them is like the origin story of the Book of Blood, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other one is 2 guys trying to find it. And the other one is this girl who is deeply disturbed and has done something terrible and is trying to escape. And I love the way they tied these together. And each one of those stories, there's a time where you think it's completed, but it comes back again, right?
Yes.
Which I really liked too. So excellent acting all the way around. Some good effects here and there. Good stories. These are not so. Clive Barker was executive producer on this, so I got to assume he approves of all this. But I don't believe that the founding story or the creation story is pretty similar to the original one, but not quite the same. Some details have been changed. The other 2 stories, I don't recall anything like that in the other Books of Blood. So I think these are a new take, but wow, they could have been there. I think
They very much do,
definitely fit that that vein. So, and they kind of set up this area called, I think is it Ravenmoor? Isn't that what they call it?
Ravenmoor,
Ravenwood, or Ravenmoor, yeah. That kind of, it reminded me a little bit of Silent Hill, but it's super urban decay and weird kind of stuff is happening there. So anyway, very dark, desolate urban landscape, and I think it lends itself to the idea of further shows. I'm going to hold out for that, even though it's not announced. So anyway, I enjoyed this a lot, and I think it does. It represents the title Book of Blood very good.
Yes.
Very well.
Yes, I agree with that quite a bit. All right, Crystal Cleveland, you're up next. What is your first impression of Books of Blood? I know you've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am a huge Clive Barker fan. So for me, this is, yeah, and it delivered. I loved it, and I think I loved it more than I thought I would. I was really excited, and I went in with pretty high expectations, and it met and exceeded those, I think. I loved the acting. I loved the way that it was shot. I loved the structure of the stories and the way that they were told and how they circled back. I loved the endings of them all as well. I mean, I like, those kind of bad endings, but they're not really bad endings. They're kind of bad, good endings. And the moral compass is kind of, it's not so black and white, except it is at certain points. It's really great. I think the effects were good. There was some CGI, and I didn't even mind the CGI. I mean, like the sleep paralysis, obviously and it was like, oof, but I don't care. It's a dream anyway, so whatever. Or is it? So yeah, that first story really hit home with me because I'm super sensitive to sounds. And so when I was watching that, I was like, I feel her with that. Nowhere near as bad as she is, but I'm just I have very good hearing. And sometimes I'm like, if it's silent, if it's quiet, I'm like, what's that?
You can hear the cricket. Nobody else can, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
No cricket.
Exactly.
No cricket.
But I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved all the stories. I loved the interweaving. I loved the acting. I loved. If there's not another one, I'm going to be really sad.
Ooh.
I love this kind of horror where it really is like horror. It's like horror in the people and kind of horror in the monsters as well, and monsters that are people and people doing bad things. And
actual monsters. All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Dreher, you're up next. What is your first impression of Books of Blood?
Well, I was really excited to hear this was coming our way. I was a huge Clive Barker fan back in the day. So, to actually call this, Books of Blood, it set a really high bar to shoot for here. So many of Clive's works are just known as individual, Hellraiser and Rawhead Rex, which were all taken from the Books of Blood and made into these franchises. But the actual stories themselves kind of got lost along the way. So I would love to see this become a couple times a year we get some segments of this. But I think Jeff is right. Other than the actual Book of Blood story, what the Book of Blood is, I don't think these other things were. I think they were written exclusively for this, because I don't remember them being in the volumes of the Books of Blood that I can recall. It's been a long time since I read them. But with that being said, I was also really surprised the way they intertwined this all together. I really didn't. We have to be careful. HULU kind of gave us, we're not allowed to talk about certain things. So I got to be careful not to give anything away.
Oh, I forgot.
Maybe you better tell me.
Wait.
Yeah. What are we supposed to do?
Wait. We can't talk about it now.
By saying it, you've been talking about it. Oh my God.
Well, we're okay so far because I remember what
All right,
I want to talk about.
somebody needs to do a little texting on the background here.
I'm like,
but you guys have all been vague enough so far. You haven't.
yeah, I will be very vague. Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't given away. But I really didn't realize there was a wraparound story until
it was a wraparound story.
until the second time the car in the street.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, wait a minute, we've been here before. I know this. And I love some of the visuals, like the way when they're driving up the street lights make the upside down cross as they're driving into the thing. I just thought that was so fucking creepy. Loved it. There's a lot to really like here, and a lot of it we can't talk about because Hulu will assassinate us and take us to a warehouse in Maine and never let us out. No. But needless to say, when this debuts on the 7th, you want to see this. This, for me, this is kind of this year's Haunting of Hill House. It's that good. I mean, it really is.
Which was more.
It just kind of, it kind of grabs your attention. This is one that I will probably revisit several times during the haunt season, just because it's that good.
Yeah, it is that good. I wasn't sure what we were getting into. I know you guys were all excited about it, but I've been let down by so many adaptations of Clive's work that it's kind of like, and there's already been like a Books of Blood movie, right?
A book that was Book of Blood, I think.
So it wasn't. It was a ripoff, not an actual adaptation. Is that right? Or I don't recall. But anyway. I just know it comes up when I search for this one. So I haven't been, I wasn't. Let's just put it simply that this movie blew me away. I was like, this movie is so good. I love the anthology aspect of it and the way the anthology is structured. The trick or treat weaving of certain characters is really. I really love it. I love, and it isn't evident. Right away, and maybe I just got in trouble with Hulu, but it's the structure of this movie is really, really fine, and the Anna Friel was a surprise. I was like, I recognize that face. Who is that? Mm-hmm. Oh, Pushing Daisies. What? This is so different than Pushing Daisies, but she is fantastic. All the actors and actresses in this film are really good. The characters are flawed, right? Nobody is straightforward, good or bad. And even the ones that are possibly the
bad,
the goodest of the good, if I can term a phrase.
The goodest of the good.
If I can make something up that is totally not English. And,
there is no good. Honestly, they're all bad. That's the reality. Well, everyone is bad. No, they're all bad.
Well, I guess that's my point, is even the one that could be good is bad. But what's funny is the ones that are the worst might be the ones that aren't.
Not that bad.
but yet they are. And it is, there's surprises. There's twists that will make you go, oh crap, what now? And then the what now is even crazier than what was happening before the what now. Is that vague enough, Dave?
Keep it vague.
Let's just say that this is a great horror film. It has the scares, it has the acting, it has the gore, it has monsters, it has the evil people, it has great little vignettes that make a whole. So, what a great surprise. And yes, this would be, if this came out, if another episode or another, if this became an annual thing, if Hulu put one of these out every year, every Halloween, I would be very, very satisfied and happy.
I want them sooner than that. Every quarter. That is totally doable.
Sure. What else are you doing? So Dave, gore, we haven't really had a gore discussion lately because a lot of the films, haven't been really playing the gore card. What I liked about this, and I want you to back me up, is that the gore card is played here, but it's not the point. It's an accent onto what the story is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what I like to call beautiful gore.
Beautiful. Cool.
You know, it's very. It's very. I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say, but it very much propels the story. It is the fuel for the story, and it's done really, really well. I think it's like what Crystal said. I mean, there's some CGI, but you don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really don't. And the stuff that is practical is very well done.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Jeff, we always talk about WTF moments. Is there enough WTF in this one to be
Absolutely.
a Jeff movie? All right.
But don't
I can't
explain
tell
it.
you anything else.
But you can't say anything about the one. Oh, this
But
is
I'm
gonna be a
written
short one.
inside. I will tell you that.
So Crystal, the characters here. How important are our lead characters in each story to this, and the drama or the conflicts that they're going with?
Well, that's the only thing. That's the most important part of this. Each one of the stories actually is all about. Once again, this is a very character driven. These are very character driven stories in more than one way.
Yes.
Yeah. They were all so well developed that you really can see both sides of them, like the good and the bad. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's such a wonderful thing when you see it, because I feel like that's kind of like how real life is, not so black and white always. And, I think it's so hard to get that to show through in a movie because, we tend to definitely, I'm going to root for this one, or I'm going to root for that one, or this one or that one. And then when you root for this one, you realize maybe they aren't so good, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is just good.
Yeah, I will tie on to top of that the conclusions to our character stories in each of them was rewarding. Some of them are more complicated or complex than others, like our young lady in the first story. She's definitely dealing with some some grief.
It's really hard to talk about a movie when you're not allowed to talk about it.
but she's dealing with what am I wanting to say here? Guilt, right? Her character is all driven by guilt, and then she has this hearing thing that amplifies it. Everybody's crunch, everybody's munch, and every squeak, every squawk, is amplified. But I think the point is that while the characters bring you into these stories, the movie actually has very solid scares. There's some elements in this that are genuine. They're frightening in each of the little segments. More so with the first two, maybe. Especially with that house for the first one, and then the room in the second one. It really had me on edge. I was like, and one of them is a little bit, maybe CGI heavy, but at the same time, it's perfect for it's the way to use CGI in a movie without, ruining the effect, right? And they didn't realize, because a lot of times we'll get that dreaded smoke monster. Thankfully, there's no smoke monsters in RPG. But there are creepies and crawlies in this, and I just want to applaud that. I want to applaud that this movie actually is. There are going to be people that are genuinely frightened by this film.
That's so funny to me. I thought it was sexy. It was really I like scary. Scary is sexy to me. But yes, some people are going to be scared by this.
Yeah. I think so. I think, I could call out a few moments, but I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I want to know.
Yeah, me too. I was like, what can't I say? I better say nothing. Keep your big mouth.
I can't believe you
shut.
guys didn't do your homework.
Oh man, it just totally escaped me, and now I'm like, I couldn't remember.
I can't find anything about it.
Okay, Jeff's off looking through his email.
You're making it up. That's all.
No, I remember this. All right, so what we do now is we wrap things up. We give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what you want to see. This is the best part of the show, honestly.
But be careful. Be careful with the favorite scene. Certain things you can't say.
Damn it, Dave.
I think I've got. You know how I always couch my favorite scene in a way that sometimes y'all don't even know what it is.
Damn
so
it.
see, I know I'm good.
I don't know what to choose now. It's like, all right. If you're still with us, man, you are brave. Thank you, and please hit the subscribe button, hit the like buttons, hit the bell so you can get notified, and leave some comments when you see this on Hulu. Let us know what you think. Is this as good as what we're kind of alluding to?
Yes.
Let us know, or let us know if we're off the mark. I don't think we are. All right, it's time. Let's do this. Our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. And Jeff, sir, you are up first.
I think Clive Barker fans are going to love this film. I like this film, love this film. This is likely to be a top 10, I think. I'm giving this a 4.5.
Nice.
And I'm going to do, this is the scene I'm going to do, and Doc's going to have to edit it if it's wrong. But early on in Jenna's story, we know she has this problem with hearing, but she's obviously very depressed, and her folks, they're having like a dinner table discussion, and it's like the epitome of inane noise discussion that for somebody that's in a dark depression, it would just sound like meaningless blah. They're having their happy little lives.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah, their lives that are happy and meaningful that just seem like a just what? That's your thing. Anyway, I thought that was very realistic, and I felt it. I really felt it, and
yes.
I'm going to pick that one. I hope that didn't give anything away.
No,
I don't think.
I think you are safe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty generic.
It does make you feel for that character when maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't. All right, Crystal, you're up next.
Wait, what's his score?
4.5.
4.5.
Oh, that's what I'm giving it too.
All right.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay! Obviously, I think you should watch this movie because it's super awesome. And we're saying it's awesome, and we're awesome. So clearly, you need to watch it. Totally.
It's awesome.
Okay. And my favorite scene is, and you may not understand it when I say it, but you should understand it when I say it. And it may not be what you think it's going to be, but it's when she is the ant on the anvil.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Very good.
I love it. I love
well done.
that line. And then that, I was like, oh, yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
Oh, she has some great lines. That's good, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good choice. All right, Dave Dreher, you are up next. You're the only one that knows what we can say. So go ahead, Dave. Give us
I'm going to join in the chorus of 4.5s. This is a really well done film. It's just good. Maybe we can talk about it again when we can actually talk about it. That'd be fun.
Hey.
But I'm going to go with a favorite scene, and much like Crystal's, it's not going to make much sense to you until you watch it. But it's the confession and then the explanation.
Yes!
Mm-hmm.
Yes! Yes!
So,
oh, my God.
That was very well done.
It was just, it totally destroyed the other characters. Like, oh man, I love that. All right. So I'm going to try to give this a go. Oh no. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to, like this. And I loved it. I loved it. I was like, after I watched it, I'm like, oh crap, that was a good movie. Holy crap. I'm giving it a 4.75. And I was like,
you couldn't be like the rest of
us.
I was
like, I want to give it a 5, but can I? And I almost want to. And you guys are giving it 4.5. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have. I mean, this thing, it hits on all marks. I don't know why I'm taking that 25% off. To be honest with you. It's a great show. And if you have Hulu, I think you should catch it for sure. My favorite scene is actually a funny scene. There's a lot of scenes, Dave. I think your scene is probably the most significant scene in the either that or the comeuppance that follows later. But yeah, that was so devastating when that speech and the visual explanation was great. But mine is just a little mark, and I might be tiptoeing in territories. But one of our characters is in search of the Books of Blood, and has found a house that we've already seen, and is going through the backyard and finds one of the occupants in on the porch. Doing a little something that could be described as horrific. I can't say what it is, but I think you know what it is. And I just love the discussion. It was like the person looks up and goes, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
And the guy's like, totally like, what? He doesn't know what to do. And this is a character that would know what to do. It's just that bizarre. And then the next little bit that happens, is pretty fun too. So and what was interesting, having said that, is that there's a moment in the garage in the first story when I went, wait a minute.
Of course, yes. That
Wait a minute.
no, don't.
Wait a minute. Yes. What is that? What is that?
Yes,
in the corner
absolutely.
that looks like something. Where did I see that? and I totally didn't realize where I'd seen it, even though yeah. So,
but when he comes up on that, you remember, and you're like, oh,
absolutely. And oh my God, I love that. I love that aspect. I love the way, and that's back to the trick or treat thing, where the stories intertwine and overlap. So I love this. I'm definitely going to watch it again somehow.
I watched this the second time after even knowing what I found out from watching it the first time. And it just keeps getting better every time.
Yeah,
I like that.
But you notice more. Yeah.
Oh my. All right. So there's our review for Books of Blood, coming October 7th on Hulu. Check it out and leave some comments down below. We want to know what you think. Are we just blowhards? Are we just loving everything just because it's Hulu? Or are we right? Let us know what you think.
Comments.
Yes. Favorite scenes. All right. Crystal, Dave, Jeff, who is red inside. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you stuck around this long. If you did, thank you so much. All right. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.